Hello, welcome back to Ever17, the Out of Infinity. Now I'm at the choice where I can pick between being Takeshi or a kid. This one is going to let me be Takeshi. I've got to find my friends. I've got to find them. I quietly opened the door. I turned the knob and the door to the elevator opened slowly. I heard the mechanical announcement but didn't understand what it meant. The battery is probably dead. I pushed the button, but my PDA didn't respond. Thanks to the help of the backlight of my display, I had found the emergency manual opening mechanism for the door. Hey, are you alive? I spoke to the girl. She looked a little tired. The floor was silent. I heard the sound of water flowing somewhere. It was a muffled sound. But there was no sign of anyone around. What's going on here? Let's go see if we can find anyone else. We went into the corridor. Most of the doors were locked as if to keep us from intruding. We found a floor directory, so we decided to look around the rooms listed on it. We came out to an open space. It was called the rest area. On the floor, there was scattered a mess of bags, a pair of shoes, wrapping paper from the souvenir shop, and other stuff. As I had expected, there was no one there. There was a thick set of shutters in the circular space in the center of the area. I laughed an empty laugh. I wonder if this area is under construction. That's probably why nobody's here. Yeah, I'll bet that's why. Let's try the next place. We continued down the path we had been walking. The door down the corridor was shut firmly. Doesn't this door open? We chose a corridor which was open and walked slowly down it. We didn't come across anyone. It felt like we were walking a route that someone had set up for us. A door on the side of the corridor had been left open and we went in. There was a stand selling tuna sandwiches. It smelled like they had been cooking until recently. Hey, mister, I'll take 2 of the sandwiches that are half price on weekdays, if only someone were here. Looks like he ran off and left his stand. Doesn't he have any pride? There aren't any other customers here. Business isn't exactly booming, is it? I'm hungry. I wasted too much energy walking around, and my friends take off somewhere without telling me. Don't you think that's rude? Okay, whatever you say. We returned to the corridor we come from, turned at an intersection, looked for other rooms. Everywhere looked the same. I wonder if everyone is hiding somewhere. Maybe they are trying to surprise us. Well, it's just kind of a feeling. I had to speak to stay calm. It felt like if I went quiet, I would return to the darkness of before. In the room we next went in, the ruins were awaiting us. Lemurian ruins. They were filled with silence. If it weren't for the paper garbage strewn across the floor, it would have been hard to believe that anyone had been around. Where is everybody? Hey! Give me a break here. Where did everybody go? There's a limit to how far you can take a joke. Why doesn't anyone come out? I sank to the floor. I didn't know why, but I was having trouble breathing. Against my will, I started to sweat. What do you think? What happened here? Why haven't we seen anyone? She said this without changing the expression on her face. She stared at me with calm eyes. I thought I heard a low groan from somewhere. I swallowed nervously. I nodded uncomfortably. The next instant, the girl dashed to the other side of the corridor. I quickly stood up and followed her. I was exhausted, but I used every ounce of my power to push ahead. We jumped into a small entrance on the side of the corridor. We headed up. We started climbing upstairs at top speed. We ignored our pounding hearts. We simply ran. We ran without looking back. We ran. We reached the top floor, and I put my hand on the emergency hatch connected to the floating island. The knob didn't budge. Darn, why won't it open? The whole structure rocked. The hatch gave off a squeaking sound, and the knob bent unnaturally. The girl screamed. We rushed back to the stairs again. We had no time to go down each step. We jumped down toward the direction where we could see the corridor. The impact with the ground rattled my knees terribly, but I ignored the pain. I was out of breath. I gasped. Safe place. Pokemon. The girl's expression didn't change. Anyway, she hasn't lost her breath much after the running that hard. Hey, don't you want to rest? I want to rest. Fine then. I sat down on the floor. The girl walked slowly ahead down the corridor. We could see hundreds of colorful fish swimming comfortably outside of the windows. The room was quiet too. It was just the two of us, me and her. Then I remembered that I still didn't know who she was. She had told me to do what I want, but until then we'd been trying to escape together. I wondered what she was all about. It was all a mystery to me. Her voice caused me to look up. She hadn't said it to me. Hey, was somebody there? I asked this as I stood. The girl stood still. Her eyes were focused in the distance. I followed her gaze. A lady had appeared where there had been no sign of anyone a moment before, and she was dressed as a park employee. I hadn't heard any footsteps. What in the... When did she get here? She looked slightly panicked. Hey, what's happened? What's dangerous? Stay calm. Explain what's going on. She mumbled this again. Ah! Glass shattered. A massive amount of seawater and countless fish came flooding in. It was as if they were attacking me. Oh no! Whoa! The force of the water and destruction was incredible. The approaching swell mowed down everything in its path. It swirled and swallowed debris on the floor. Someone's dropped purse, a floor guide for the facility, anything and everything it encountered. I wonder how fast that water is moving. The ridiculous thoughts flashed through my mind. And I wonder how fast I can run. There was no guarantee the water wouldn't catch me. Whoa! I ran frantically and jumped in the air. There was water flowing underfoot. Whoa. I slipped. I knew this was bad. If I took a spill, I would be sleeping with these fish. I was carried along into the air. The girl had grabbed my arm and yanked me forward with incredible force. She ran lithely like a tiny gazelle. In her speed, it felt like I had just hopped into a car. It almost felt as though she might rip my arm off. Her strength was unbelievable. And even harder to believe was that the park attendant was running ahead of us, leading us. When did she? Oh, weakened away. When did she? It looked like she had just been sucked into the swirling waters ahead, but no. We bounded from the slope into another corridor. Which way do we take to get out of here? We all ran without stopping, looking for an exit. It's a dead end! Hey, this isn't a corridor! She kicked through some metal mesh into a big air exhaust duct. It was a sloping pipe-like tube. We shot down the incline, stumbling. It sounded like there was a crazed froth of angry water roaring behind me. No, I was already caught up in it. Everyone was just flushed along. We were spun in circles. I had no idea which way was up and which down. And then we were all spit out in the corridor on the lower level. Saved by a hair, the shutter on the duct clanked shut solidly behind us. The flow of water finally stopped. It was solid ground. It was a floor. I was safe. I wasn't in the water. I was alive. That was good. Good. There were still fish flopping around on the floor, but the water had receded a while earlier.
しかし、施設の約 30% はすでに冠水、浸水したものと思われます。
Hey, wait just a second. I thought we were going to escape up. If we go down... Hey, what are we supposed to do now?
そんなこと言ったってしょうがないじゃない。申し訳ありません。
The employee looked extremely sorry and was bowing.
私の責任です。
That's right. I'll just say it's not your fault. It's not your fault. I don't think that this is any one person's fault. But why has this happened? That's the issue. Sorry, I'm just a little aggravated. I didn't mean to take it out on you. The fish on the floor were still jumping around.
本当に申し訳ありません。
The park employee was bowing so low that her head approached the floor. For some reason, her clothes were completely dry.
ここに突っ立っていても仕方ないわ。案内してくれる？わかりました。近くに比較的安全な場所があります。ご案内します。
Relatively safe. That was about the same as saying that Ever17 was dangerous. We turned around and started heading back the corridor we'd been washed down. I looked at a panel and finally realized that we were in Slice Talkbanks in level 2. We went in a nearby attraction. So, are we the only folks here?
わかりません。現在調査中です。
Yeah, right. Investigating what? I thought as we walked. What is it? Excuse me.
誰かこちらに来ます。3名。
What?
それにしても一時はどうなることかと思ったけど
It was one of the female employees that I'd met once before.
命あってのものだねってやつよねってあれ
The girl finally noticed us. I didn't think there'd be anybody else here.
そりゃどうも元気
Not as good as I look, I suppose.
そっちも大変だったみたいね
Hey, lucky guess. Relaxing a bit, I returned her smile. There were two people behind the girl. One of them was the girl who I thought was named Coco. When our eyes met, Coco grinned. It's been a while. It doesn't have to be right now, but Coco, will you tell me a joke later? I'm really in the mood.
いいの考えとく
She nodded brightly. The other person was the kid I helped to the infirmary. His expression looked darker somehow. If he'd become super upbeat all of a sudden, that would have been weird too, but for some reason it bothered me. Is something wrong with him? He doesn't look so hot. The attendant hesitated. The girl attendant addressed the question to the staff member in the dress.
断線がひどくてコネクションを回復しつつ調べていますがまだ時間がかかります。
The attendant called Sora said this.
だったら中央制御室に行こう。あそこからなら詳しくモニターできるでしょ。
そうですね。すみません。私が至らないばかりに不便ですよね。
気にしないで、ソラ。
With that, the girl addressed me again.
それじゃあこれからドリットストック3階に降りるけどついてくるよね。
Yeah, I'll go. We took an emergency corridor behind one of the attractions. It looked like there were a number of these narrow corridors above and below other corridors and rooms. I figured that they would probably use this work as my employees as well.
田中優。本当はもっと長ったらしい名前なんだけど、優でいいよ。あなたは？
I'm Takeshi.
クラナリね。よろしく、クラナリ。
Good to know you, you. Yay. The whole time the girl in the dark clothes silently watched our exchange. We went down the stairs together. Me, Coco, you, Sora, the kid, the girl, and Black, 6 of us total. We arrived at Dritstock, the 3rd floor underwater. We used the ladder in the emergency corridor to descend to another corridor and turned around the corner. Control room. It seemed that this was the central control room.
どう？ここの端末からならわかりそう？
そうですね。確かに直接アクセスした方が早そうです。
Sora faced the monitor and held up both hands. Instantly, the content of the screen began to change, with a number of windows opening, closing, and searches for data underway. Hey, can you operate these computers without even touching them? I've got the latest cell phone and it's got a touch panel. And it's got a kinetic recharge function. Oh, it means that even if the battery dies, if you walk around with it or shake it, it will recharge itself. It takes a while, though. I took my PDA from my pocket and lent it to Coco. Okay, Coco took the PDA and shook it using short movements like she was shaking maracas. Yeah, like that. The lamp that indicated the battery was dead lit up. The harder you shake it, the more it lights up. The lamp flickered. I didn't know if she was having fun or what, but Coco kept up her maraca for a while. Active for a while. It looked like the PDA wasn't broken. All I had to do was wait and it would probably work again. It seemed that professional driving waterproof specifications it had boasted were actually true. Sora typed quietly on the keyboard. What? She was typing the keyboard, but it looked like her hands weren't even touching the keyboard. I figured that was my imagination. Sora said it in a business-like manner. She seemed done with the computer. Everyone looked at her. As she said that, I noticed she looked a little pale. The room went quiet as the focus shifted to her.
まず1階エルストボーデンは一部階段を除き完全に浸水しました。
浸水？1階全体が？
はい。隔壁もすべて下ろされ、通路を通行することはできません。
つまりどうやっても上には行けない。
そういうことです。またツバイトシュトック、ドリットシュトックについてですが、第3区画は防水扉の閉鎖が間に合わず完全浸水しています。その他の区画の各フロアは今のところ健在です。ただしいくつかの部屋には先ほど流入した海水が溜まっています。現在排水ポンプを稼働していますが、完全排水には相当な時間を要するものと思われます。
排水ポンプ？電気は普通
一部の電子的システムが制御不能に陥っています。原因は不明ですが、各区画の配線断線が影響しているでしょう。先ほどまで私が十分に状況を把握できなかったのもそのためです。
What does she mean she wasn't able to? Something about her words nagged in my mind, but I listened to the rest of what she had to say.
発電機は正常に機能しており、電力は供給されています。ですから発電循環系統にトラブルがない限りはある程度時間がかかっても排水は完了できます。ちなみに館内の内部圧は1気圧です。酸素濃度 22%、 窒素濃度 75%、 ヘリウム濃度 3%、 気温24度。当分私たちが中で過ごしていくことは可能と言いたいの。申し訳ありません。その通りです。皆さんには今しばらくの間館内でお待ちいただくことになります。
For a while, how long is that?
救助が来るまでです。救援要請はずっと送り続けています。しかし現在それが届く保証はありません。インゼルヌルへの通信線は非常回線も含め物理的遮断によって使用不能です。また海底ケーブルでのネットワーク接続、音波式水中通話ともに試していますが、通信系の回復のめどはまだ立っていません。
So we're like little kids lost smack in the middle of the ocean and nobody can hear our SOS. Those were the cold, hard facts we had to face. There was every reason for everyone to get depressed. I sighed.
はいはい、どうも。それでは元気よく。
One of the group was determined to dispel the gloomy atmosphere. You spoke so fast it was almost scary.
証拠の救命艦女子第1年短期アルバイト田中指製はるかなが救助隊の到着まで皆様をご案内いたします。どんどんどんどん、パフパフ。
Hey, wait, what did you just say?
救命艦女子第1年花の女子大
So that's her full first name?
連休中だけの臨時雇いなの。まあなんていうかいきなりなツアー&不慣れなツアコンではありますが、よろしくお願いします。
No, after that.
は？私の名前のこと？田中指製はるかな。
You just say what?
田中指製はるかな。
I can't get my tongue around that.
もうだから私のことは言うでいいって言ったの。長いのにはいはい、質問です。
Another gloom destroyer appeared. What?
なんて言って呼んでもいい？どうぞどうぞ。あなたのお名前はヤガミココです。ほいでもってこっちはピピ。
Her pet dog appeared from nowhere. Boy, was she full of energy. Leave it to elementary school kids.
中3。
What?
どうかしたの？
No, it's nothing. I thought that surprises never cease.
ココとピピね。よろしくね。
うん
1たす1は？あ、賢い。そうしょ、そうもいしょ。
I wondered if maybe there wasn't enough oxygen in the room. I was getting a headache. The girl in the black clothes gave our upbeat companions a cool stare. You noticed the look.
それでそちらの彼女は？
Oh, why are you asking me?
あなたの連れじゃないの？
Stupid, what are you talking about?
ふーん。
What's that supposed to mean?
つぐみ、
I realized the girl had spoken.
小町、つぐみ、
It was just loud enough to make out what she was saying.
それが名前。
つぐみって言うんだ。よろしくね。
She turned her back. You shrugged slightly. I thought Sugumi might have been embarrassed. There's something kind of cute about her. Sugumi. I think that's the bird's name. I remember her tugging me along in the aquarium and running like the wind. Thanks for helping me back there. What are you mad about? Thanks for helping me back there. Hey, Sugumi, thanks for helping back there. I walked over to her and said this. You saved me in the aquarium, right? What? Sugumi looked annoyed as she said this. This chick's intense and scary. In my mind, I retracted my earlier thoughts about her being cute. Sugumi and I glared at each other for a while. Yeah, let's be friends. You jumped in between us. We don't need to fight. I walked away from Sugumi and she looked away from me. You, who's totally in control of the situation, turned to Sora, who was working on the computer. Sora took her hands from the machine and came toward us as if she were gliding.
LeMU 開発部のシステムエンジニアです。一応主任代理ということになっています。
I thought that was something else. Assistant Chief, huh? Oh, Assistant Chief, huh? Assistant Chief, so you're pretty high up
代理
then?
ですし、名目上のことですから、大したことはありません。
But hey, Sora, weren't you up at the gate above ground? You were giving some kind of explanation at the entrance, right? I only heard half of it, but...
そういえばあの時のお姉ちゃん？
はい、そうです。お気づきになりましたか？ここも人手不足なもので、時々私もあのようなことをしています。
Sora smiled. I'm Takeshi Kurinari. I'm 20. I'm a junior at university.
はい、よろしくお願いします。
良きかな良きかな。
Everyone laughed cheerfully. Everyone laughed. Everyone laughed at Sugumi, that is. It took a little effort, but the atmosphere finally loosened up. You started gathering us up.
さてさて、縁も竹縄となってまいりましたが、皆さんそろそろお開きに。サンキュー。ちょっと待って。まだ名前を聞いてないよ。
Coco pointed to the corner of the room.
僕のこと？
We'd completely forgotten him. He'd been quiet the whole time, trying to stay out of the way and mostly kept to the corner of the room. You looked at the boy and it looked like her face stiffened a little.
ほいちゃんね。あなたの名前なんての？
Coco tilted her head as she asked him the question.
僕は
He looked down. I couldn't figure what he was waiting for.
僕は誰？
Hmm.
え？
What?
おへ？
覚えてないんだ。自分の名前。
Maybe you've got amnesia. Retrograde. Amnesia refers to memories lost for a certain period of time. It is more common with new memories than with old memories. During the period of memory loss, if the person has no memories at all, it is called complete amnesia. But in instances in which some memories can be recalled, it is called partial amnesia. Yep. Generally, amnesia results from trauma to the head, epileptic seizures, mental diseases, and disorders that manifest themselves as memory impairments. When a person has trouble recollecting events prior to the impairment, this is called retrograde amnesia. An instance in which memory impairment is significant and continues after consciousness is restored is known as anterograde amnesia. Ooh. Well, amnesia caused by inherent mental factors is referred to as organic amnesia, while that induced by psychological stress is typically known as psychogenic amnesia, hysterical amnesia being the most typical example. This is an affliction in which the victim often cannot recall knowledge relating to his or her personal history, such as one's name, history, family, or friends, and is often a reaction to incidents too hard to endure, which incite an unconscious desire to escape, forget, or repress these experiences or events. Well, symptoms do not manifest in any particular way physically, and a person's brain functioning remains normal. People found wandering in this state are often taken in or seek help from authorities, such as the police. Young people in their 20s under severe psychological stress, such as those facing domestic violence or academic problems, marriage, or financial difficulties, are the most typical victims. However, this illness can be used as a cover for criminal activities, and it can be difficult to detect the difference. This is especially seen in individuals with demonstrative personalities or pathological tendencies to lie. Normally in a few days or months, or with the help of hypnosis or shock therapy, the memories should return. Complete amnesia can be spurred by retrograde life amnesia. Memories are usually restored gradually, beginning with older ones, and treatment methods include psychiatric care and hypnosis, both narcotic and naturally induced. Whoa, amnesia! Just explained everything with amnesia right there.
脳震盪ではないのですか？どこかでしたたかに頭を打ったのでは？
Yeah, you could have taken a tumble, like when trying to escape. Shigumi had let loose a nasty snort when I said
わから
tumble.
ない。何も覚えてないんだ。ねえ、ここはどこなの？
レミューっていう海洋テーマパーク。
レミュー。
The kid glanced at Coco. He tilted his head. Coco was playing rock, paper, scissors with her dog Pee-Pee. We moved to a room with a kiosk in it. Thankfully, at least the electric drink dispenser was working. Each person poured the drink they wanted in a paper cup.
それじゃとりあえずこれからのみんなの無事を祈って乾杯。乾杯。
Okay then, cheers.
いただきます。
The string of events leading to the sudden toast went something like this. Hey, kid, don't you know anything about before? Not even something personal about yourself? What do I know? Oh, I know, I'm kind of thirsty. That was the reason. But reason aside, we needed a breather, so the timing was good. Hey, Sora, what about you? Don't you want a drink? Sora was standing stiffly.
はい。私、喉が渇きませんか？
More like she can't be thirsty. Well, how about taking a load off? You've been standing the whole time.
お気遣いありがとうございます。
Sure, I thought. Sora seemed older than me. She seemed polite and serious. She seemed a typical Japanese woman. Prim and proper could be one way of describing Sora. I looked around at my surroundings. He was next to the kid and chatting with him. Sometimes he would laugh or shake his head weakly. I could overhear bits of their conversation. They were talking about his memory.
平気だよ。時間が経てば治るはずだから。
It looked like the two of them were drinking orange juice. Tsugumi was away off from everyone and looking into the distance. I had no idea what she was drinking. I didn't have any idea what she was thinking either. After agonizing over whether to drink apple juice or Coco finally decided on both, but she proceeded to forget about her drink immediately, and Coco took a hold of Pee-Pee's front legs and started dancing around. It was a cute scene. After things had calmed down, you and everyone gathered in front of the
これから
kiosk.
しばらくレミューの中に過ごさなきゃならないわけだけど、
Yay.
その前に確認しておきたいの。まず何が起きたのか、そしてこれからどうすればいいのか。
田中さん、その前者については私からお話ししてもよろしいですか？
ソラ、お願い。
Sora stood in front of everyone and held out her arms. Suddenly, a holographic window materialized in the air. I had no idea how the whole system worked, but I figured that it was the same one they had used at the entrance to the park.
それではご説明いたします。
And this is what she said. 12:45 p.m. Suddenly, a blackout occurred, cause unknown. Next, the emergency alarms began ringing. The cause of this was also unknown. 12:54 p.m. The Insel-No elevator shifted to its emergency power source, and an evacuation order was issued for the entire complex. Employees and visitors evacuated the premises. At this point, some people panicked and in the confusion opened the emergency corridor to the outside without going through decompression. It is highly probable that they are experiencing serious decompression sickness at this moment. The emergency corridor to the outside was left open for several minutes. 1:03 p.m. The opening of the emergency corridor disrupted the air pressure balance inside the complex, and the devices responsible for adjusting the air pressure encountered problems. The complex started automatically pulling in air from the outside. As a result, the mixture of gas in the complex designed to maintain 6 atmospheres of air pressure escaped. Apparently helium, which is lighter than oxygen or nitrogen, leaked out first. Air pressure in the complex dropped to 1 atmosphere, the same as the level outside. 2:39 p.m. The major power source came back online. LeMU, the computer system responsible for overseeing LeMU, rebooted and reset the air pressure adjustment mechanism. The air ventilation ducts were closed. However, LeMU was built to saturation diving specifications, meant that as long as the internal air pressure was the same level or higher than the outside water pressure, it was designed not to collapse, which meant 3:55 p.m. When the internal air pressure dropped to 1 atmosphere, it became impossible for the external partitions to withstand the external water pressure, causing the glass to crack under the pressure, thus resulting in flooding. Subsequently, to minimize the damage from the flooding, the emergency watertight doors had automatically shut, which brought us up to speed. Yep, so basically we are just in trouble.
館内の現在の状況を正しく把握したいのですが、モニターやセンサーの一部に未だ異常動作の恐れがあります。よって正確なデータが得られないためにこのような概要しか述べることができません。
Hey, sorry to ask you the same question again, but the first floor above us is flooded, yeah?
はい。館内管制を行うレミシステムに再度問い合わせましたが確かです。
So we can't get out of here.
現在も救助を要請すべくシステムは通信系の回復に全力を挙げています。今しばらくご辛抱を。
Sore about her head. I was feeling depressed again. Yeah. I didn't want to admit it, but we were in deep trouble. It's not really a lot you can do like that. Here, you just keep trying to make everyone feel better, don't you? That's not what I'm saying. You came out with a huge industrial-sized bottle and held it up comically. I just can't get over how cheerful you are, given how totally screwed we are. Complained again without thinking. You said this with a bit of a sulk. Yeah, you're right. Sorry. She filled my cup to the brim with juice. Hey, hey. But most of it was just bubbles. This is good. Thanks for the juice. You shouldered the massive bottle and took it back inside the shop. Carrying it, she teetered like a penguin, which was funny because it really didn't suit her. Jeez, she's a funny one. I laughed without thinking. Sugumi was leaning against the shop wall and staring after you. Her face was expressionless. I wondered what she was thinking. I had no idea. Even if we are going to wait for help, we can't just sit on our butts doing nothing, right? I casually tried to strike up a conversation with Sugumi.
あなたって深刻ぶってみたりするけど本当は何も考えてないのね。
What? That's not true. I'm thinking. I'm always thinking. Yeah, I was just thinking of a way to keep us from getting bored. I rattled off the first thing that jumped to mind. Sugumi gave me an annoyed look. She seemed exasperated. I didn't want her to expect anything from me, but her attitude was frustrating. Hey, alright, everyone listen up. I had an idea. I called to everybody.
どうしたんですか、倉成さん、突然。
Everybody gathered around. We're not gonna accomplish anything just spending time like this, right? So I just thought, why don't we all split up and look around the
なぜで
complex?
す？じっとしていた方が安全ではないですか？
No, I think we should check to see if staying in one place and doing nothing is really the safest thing to do. You know, walk around, see what we can find and scope out any dangers. If we find some, we can tell everyone to watch out for them or do something to get rid of them. And we can see if there isn't a safer place, and then we could all gather there.
でも倉成さん、
It's not like the rescue squad is about to burst in the door, so if we're going to have to be here in LeMU for half a day or so, then we should find out what kind of place this is and get to know it like our own house.
それなら私が情報をいくらでも提供します。
Make the most of our situation. Yeah. So, no, that's not what I mean. Listen, Sora, you have to look after the communications network, right? You were just talking about how some sensors or monitors weren't working right, and you can't get a full sense of the current situation.
ああ、なるほどね。
Well, you clapped your hands together.
空が SOS を発信する。
I guess you could do that. Okay.
自分の足で状況を見てくると。どう？空もその方が楽になるんじゃないかな。
ええ、そうですね。確かに。あ、でも皆さんに危険が。
It seemed that Sora was unsure.
そう、それなら私は行くから。
Tsugumi suddenly laughed. It looked like she were laughing, but her lips curled nastily. Hey, Tsugumi, where are you going?
手分けして様子を見るんでしょ。
Tsugumi's expression was blank again. Turning around, she headed for the entrance to the emergency corridor. Hey, you can't just... Come back here. Hey, idiot! She was already out of sight. Her shoes clacked on the metal stairs as she climbed.
すぐに行っちゃったね。どうするの？
心配です。
Sora's brow furrowed and her expression stiffened.
でもさ、いいんじゃないかな。
The kid had broken his silence, and I was a little
たけ
surprised.
しの言う通りだよ。このままじっとしていても意味はない。
He continued without pausing.
つぐみは先に2階を見に行った。それだけのことだと思う。だから僕らは3階を回ろうよ。
よし、わかった。賛成。そうだね。そうしよっか。
Sounds like a plan. I gave a big nod.
仕方ありません。皆さん、くれぐれも危ないことはしないでくださいね。
Sora finally nodded slightly. Once everyone's minds were set, things picked up. Sora said that she was going back to the control room, so we went our separate ways. You, Coco, and the kid, and I went to search around the complex. We decided to check the normal corridors and the emergency corridors above and below them on the 3rd floor. Splitting into pairs where the corridor forked, we agreed to meet back at the fork where we had checked the corridor ahead. When we had checked the corridor ahead, we did that over and over. We walked every corridor that we could walk down. I wondered if water was leaking anywhere. I figured that the water pressure could send water spurting through any crack it could find. Also, I thought there might be other people that had been left behind. According to Sora, the system had told her that there were 6 people in the complex. Still, there was no guarantee that was right. I thought that if we found somebody else, it might change our situation. There could also have been a corridor that the broken sensors weren't picking up. I hoped there might be a door to the surface that we simply were unaware of. I couldn't throw away that shred of hope. While we were out searching, Sora continued to try to get into contact with LeMU's central computer, LeMU, and gather more information. Sora had said that she wanted to establish a means of communicating with the outside. We returned to in front of the kiosk. Sora had arrived first and was waiting, but Tsugumi was nowhere to be seen.
戻ってきてないね、つぐみ。
You can't just let her run loose. I wonder where she
確認
is.
してみますか？
We all went into the central control room.
もう一度前回の生体反応を調べます。もし小町さんが移動していてもこれで見つけられます。もちろん小町さんが館内にいらっしゃればですが。
And if she is alive. I managed to keep that thought from coming out of my mouth. It only took a moment for a map of LeMU and data from the sensors to appear.
あれが
There was one fuzzy light on the 2nd floor.
あれが小町さんですね。
There were a number of lights in a room on the 3rd floor. I figured that was the control room where we were.
あ、
どうしたの？
あれ、なんかおかしくない？ほら。
The kid pointed at a corner of the monitor. And what would that be? And it indicated a single-digit number. Yeah. This again.
よく見て。
Okay. Yep, I already know this.
もしか僕たちの他にももしもあの表示が
そういうこと。
ねえ、そうだ、困ってるかもしれない。
Hang on, kid. Calm down. For a while, all of our eyes were glued to the changing numbers. Watching them change was unsettling. Finally, with reading 6. The monitor settled on the number 6. The light on the second floor was moving around slowly. The 5 lights on the third floor were all in one room, unmoving.
先ほどのセンサーの誤動作なのでしょうか。原因がわかりません。もう少し様子を見ますか。
Nah, Sugumi's on the second floor and there are 5 of us here, so that number 6 is probably right, don't you think? Well, I figure if we'll go look around a little more, we'll find out soon enough.
そうね。
Alright then. So, do you all want to head to the second floor? I thought it was best if we actually took in the situation with our own eyes. We climbed to the top of the long emergency stairs together. In the end, we didn't find anybody else on the third floor. We didn't see any routes that looked like they might lead out either. Sora had told us there was no schedule for the communication system to be back online. We could look at the information displayed on some of the LeMU terminals, which were set in some attractions and in the corridors, but we couldn't operate them in any way. The cause for this was unclear too. The fact that there were no leaks on that floor was our one saving grace. We arrived at Suede's Stock, the second floor. Sora gave us 30 minutes of free time. But that still didn't mean we could go running around as we pleased. So we decided to randomly hit some of the rooms and search them. Sora held her hands out in front of her and a holographic window
このフ
appeared.
ロアは下と違って各種センサースキャンの機能が正常に動くようです。フロアそのものの安全性も比較的確保されています。あ、小町さんは確かにこのフロアにいます。エレベーター付近を歩いているようです。
You can tell that?
はい、私は警備室で作業を続けつつ皆さんのことをモニターしています。何か問題があれば全体放送でアナウンスをかけます。皆さんも何かあったらすぐに私を呼んでください。
分かった。それじゃあ解散。30分したら警備室に集まりましょう。
了解。
Sure, whatever. After closing the holographic window, Sora went into a room a little ways down the corridor. Apparently that was the security office. Everyone headed out in a different direction from the corridor intersection. I took my PDA out of my pocket and pushed the button. It was recharged and the backlight was working without a problem. I reset the time. After that, I tested it a number of times, but it didn't seem to be able to make a call or go online. Maybe I ought to give up using this to get in touch with the outside. I pushed the PDA back into my pocket. It had 30 minutes left. I had 30 minutes left. It's like uppercase I, lowercase I. I was trying to decide which area to parks to visit first. Dolphin merry-go-round, the souvenir shop, the security office. Oh yeah, Dolphin merry-go-round. I headed to the room with the attractions. I gotta go there. There was a carousel there, only instead of those horses, it was set to a dolphin theme. It looked like its official name was the Dolphin Carousel. With no visitors around, the ride seemed a little spooky and very lonely. Even the dolphins themselves looked sad. No, they're okay. Whoa! Suddenly a happy melody started and the ride began to rotate. Of course, no one was riding it. All of a sudden, it no longer seemed to be so lonely, but that much more spooky. What is this? Watch out, this place is haunted. Even thinking about it gives me the creeps. Then from somewhere I heard someone snickering. You came skipping over to me.
あれクラナディいつ来たの？
Looks like you are having a lot of fun.
だってほら楽しいでしょ？ウキウキするでしょ？一回これ回してみたかったのよね。
You pointed to the merry-go-round. Don't just turn it on without any warning. You almost gave me a heart attack. You surprised the heck out of me. I shook my fist at her. I might have been exaggerating a little, but...
クラナディ何イルカ木箱時にビビってんのよ。
You looked at me sideways and grinned at me mischievously. Nobody is supposed to be here in the theme park. It was like a horror movie. Well, you were wasting energy by turning it on too. What if there were a blackout? And we've no idea how long LeMU's backup power is good for. Besides, everybody knows that you should give energy.
怖がりな上に心配性ね。
What are you talking about? It's common sense.
あのねクラナディ知らないの？
Next, she held her palms out and feigned exaggerated surprise.
外部から電力を供給してもらってるわけじゃないの。館内に自家発電機を持ってるんだよ。水深100メートルの海底に熱水放出口。まあ平たく言えば温泉よね。それがあってそこから熱水を汲み上げて気化させてる。その蒸気圧力および施設内で発生した排熱蒸気によってタービンを回して館内で必要な電力の全てを発電する。テーマパークであると同時にクローズとスペースプラントのテストモデルの側面もこのレミューは持ってるの。以上新人マリオ
Wow.
ゆりでした。
This place is really powerful, I see.
発想はないでしょうに。せっかく説明してあげたのに。
I mean, what a wonderful explanation. You're a model employee.
クラナディ君はイルカがぐるぐる回るのに驚いてうわおとかセクシーな叫び声を上げた上にちょっぴりブルっちゃいました。
Sure.
みんなに言いふらしちゃおうかな。
Do what you want. Then again, maybe you shouldn't. The dolphins had stopped moving of their own accord. You explained that the ride ran for about 3 minutes each time before shutting off automatically. We leaned against the fence surrounding the dolphin carousel. So you only work here part-time during the holidays?
4月の末から泊まり込みでここで働いてる。今日で4日目かな。
And then out of the blue you get this. Pretty
クラ
rough.
ナディはレミューに来るの何回目？
This is the first time.
私の方が3日余計にいた分だけマシだね。
You laughed happily. She was so cheerful. I had to respect her unflagging optimism and energy. You're tough. I mean, the situation is so depressing and it doesn't seem to faze you.
そんなんじゃないよ。さっきも言ったでしょ。暗い方がいいの？
I think it's better to laugh.
そうそう、そんだけよ。
Then she laughed again. I tried to force a smile. You stretched like a cat. Then she sat there and hugged her knees. I followed suit and sat down next to her.
本当はね、お父さんがここにいるかもって思って来たの。
Your dad?
実はね、私のお父さん、レミューの開発部門で働いてたの。
Research and development?
ああ、コンピューターのプログラムよ。空が使ってるホログラムとか、レミの端末とか管理システム。詳しくは聞いてないんだけど、その辺のどれかを作ったらしいのね。ここができる前、レミューの建設中から関わってたんだって。もちろん、一人でやってたわけじゃないよ。プロジェクトの一員として開発に携わってたってこと。
Huh? Is that so?
でもお父さんはお父さんある日突然いなくなっちゃったんだ。
What?
行方不明になっちゃったの。
When?
それが 物心ついた時にはすでにいなくって、私が1歳の時、つまり今から17年前のことね。
17 years ago. So you don't remember your father?
うん。写真とかムービーとかでしか見たことはなくて、ちゃんとした記憶は残ってないの、全然。今言ったことも全部お母さんから聞いた話で。
But why? Why did he disappear?
それが分かればこんなところまで来たりしないよ。ただほんのわずかな手がかりがここにあるだけ。お父さんの姿が最後に目撃されたのはこのレミューの中だったの。だからここに来れば消えたお父さんの手がかりが何か見つかるかもしれないって、そう思って。
It seems like my mom has already given up, so I can't
お
count
母
on
さん
her.
はお父さんのこと死んじゃったんだって思ってるみたいだけど。
Dead. The word dead had a heavy ring to it.
でもね、私は信じてるの。お父さんは絶対どこかで生きてる。だってそうでしょ。お父さんはただ行方不明になっただけで遺体が見つかったわけじゃないんだし、最近できたアトラクションにもお父さんの新しいプログラムが使われてるみたいなの。この館内のどこかにお父さんがここで仕事をしてたことを示す手がかりが残ってるはず。まあもっとも
Hopefully.
そのアトラクションはもう水の中に沈んじゃったけどね。
After that, we lapsed into silence. I didn't know if I should say something to her. I tried to think of what to say, but didn't hit upon anything. Suddenly, you stood up.
そろそろ BGM が欲しくなってきたな。こう愉快で軽快な音楽をさ、ドンドコドンと。つうわけでもう一回イルカを回してきます。クラナリもそろそろ見回りに戻ったら。
With that, she darted away. Hey, you! The dolphin started spinning again. You didn't come back. It looked like she had disappeared to the corridor behind the merry-go-round. I guess I'll get out of here. It was as if the dolphin saw me off. I left the room behind. Dolphin carousel situation normal. Oh, how cute. Okay, so how about security office now? Sora said that she would be working in the security office, but I wondered what she was doing there. Besides, she was the only one that had been doing desk work the whole time we'd been trapped. I imagined she would be getting a different kind of tired from walking around. Mentally tired, maybe. As I was thinking about that, I knocked on the security office door. Hello, Sora, are you there? Wait, this metal door is so thick you couldn't even hear me if you were. I pushed the button for the intercom on the panel next to the door, but Sora didn't reply. I wonder if she isn't in there. The door wasn't locked, so I pushed the open button and it opened. The security office was small, and it was dirty. The front wall was packed with monitors. They were all stained dark from cigarette smoke. Ashtrays were stacked up like it was normal. And there was a huge sign plastered on the wall that said no smoking. I recalled the sloppy club room back at college. It had 25 years of history being only used by guys, and couldn't help but chuckle. But I restrained myself and kept looking. Sora wasn't there. Sora? Hey Sora, where are you? I didn't think you were the type to go running off without telling anyone. I took another step inside the room. Ah! All the windows in the wall monitors opened and closed. For some reason, the voice sounded like it came from the shadow of the desk. It was a blind spot and I couldn't see Sora. So you are here, Sora. I thought you'd probably be all stressed out from the work and situation, so I came to take a look. What are you doing in that weird place? I approached the rear of the desk as I talked. Huh? I couldn't see her face, but she sounded embarrassed. She spoke hesitantly. Oh, are you changing? I'm sorry.
あ、いえ、そうじゃないんですけど、まあ似たようなものですね。倉成さんは着替えなくても大丈夫ですか？従業員用の服でよければ、更衣室がこの部屋のすぐ裏にあります。通路の角を折れれば行けますよ。
Nah, I'm alright. I'm just a little damping uncomfortable, but I'm used to it.
すみません。まだ作業は途中なんです。集中したいので、時間までには必ず終わりますから。
I'm sorry to bother you. I'll go look around a little more. Okay, good luck.
はい、ありがとうございます。
During our whole exchange, Sora was hidden and I didn't see her. I waved in Sora's direction, though I figured she couldn't see me, and headed for the exit. Hey, it's not good for you to stay cooped up in here. Take a break once in a while. I said it without looking back.
ええ、でもお気遣いなく。仕事が楽しいですから。私その気になれば何日でも。全然眠らなくても平気なんです。
Sleep without days? That's insane. I didn't really understand what she meant. But I suppose she's probably really into her job. I imagine that system engineer is probably just an occupation that drew interesting types and felt satisfied with that. Security office, situation normal. Well, that is good to know. The souvenir shop. Adjacent to the corridor was a little room for visitors to rest, as well as a shop selling theme park goods. There was a sign with the LeMU mascot on it. This was where I peeled the mascot costume off of the kid, that lemur thing called Yum Yum. In the shop, were those lemur stuffed animals next to all kinds of keychains, hologram pendants, seafood snacks, and other stuff, as well as lemur stuffed animals. The kid was sitting on the bench next to me. He wasn't really looking at anything, but his gaze seemed fixed. He just kept staring at the ground. I expected to see a hole open up in the ground, and he was staring so intensely. He had his hands on his temples. How's your headache, kid? What's the matter? Did you find something? Or did you remember something?
誰ですか？あなたは。
I just told you a bit ago. I introduced myself. I'm Takeshi Kurinari.
ここは、ここはどうして僕はこんなところに？
Oh, great. It's that amnesia thing. The kid couldn't even remember what he had just said. He just moved from one topic to the next, forgetting the last. This is the marine theme park, LeMU. Something happened and we are all trapped here.
LeMU?
We are trapped here.
閉じ込められたってどういうことなの？
That's something I would like answered myself.
それであなたは？
Takeshi Kurinari.
倉成武
Takeshi means samurai in Japanese. Well, maybe you should start taking notes. You know, keeping track of my name, the other people, where we are and stuff.
メモか。そうだね。そうした方がいいか。
It looks like you understand what taking notes means. Take good ones even when you are eating. Does that really mean that in Japanese? And if you can remember, you can make a memo of your name too. I gave the kid a memo pad and I had flinched from the kiosk. Filched from the kiosk.
ねえ、ところで今は何年なの？
You forgot that too?
うん。
It's 20... what year is it? I searched around in my pocket. My entrance ticket stub was crumpled and stuck to the back of my PDA. Oh, that's right. It's 2017. Take notes. Write it down.
2017年と。
He was taking it down. It looked like he hadn't forgotten how to take notes. So why do you want to know the year?
ちょっと。
Kind of.
年を聞いたら生年月日ぐらいは思い出すんじゃないかと思って。
I see. Come to think of it, you don't even know how old you are, huh? By the looks of it, I'd say you're not a day over 42.
え？
Surprised, the kid felt his face. I'm kidding. Relax, there's no way. You're probably in the neighborhood of 14 or 15. If you are 18, then you've got a baby face. Jeez, don't tell me you forgot your own face.
顔？
If you're worried about it, go take a look in the mirror. You could sketch a self-portrait in case you forget later.
そうし しようかな。
Some of these scenes are probably the same ones, and the kids are out too. Geez, he's got it rough, but a serious expression had to relax. That at least was good. Alright, well, I'm gonna get going. When it's time, you come to the security office.
どこなの？うん、ここはどこだっけ？ごめん、わからないよ。
It's alright. I understand. If you don't come, then I'll come looking for
頼
you.
むよ、たけし。
Hey, you remembered.
たけしだろ？名前。
The kid had been taking notes, and sure enough, there it was. My name Takeshi on his pad, but spelled wrong. LeMU kiosk situation normal. I took my PDA from my pocket and checked the time. There were 17 minutes until the time store had said. I wondered where I should hit next. Ooh, wow. A lot of places to visit. How about the infirmary? Infirmary. I arrived in front of the infirmary. While this was a theme park, it was also deep in the ocean and at other facilities. LeMU's atmosphere was maintained using a mix of gases and air pressure different from the outside world. It seemed that it could make some people feel ill. I reckon that was the reason this room was so large. Beyond the huge sliding door was a room decked out elaborately in shiny new medical equipment. I thought it could have something to do with LeMU's sponsor being a major pharmaceutical company. The room was so clean and white it was nearly blinding. There were 2 normal beds and one that looked like it was for surgery. There was also a huge machine attached to one of them. LMRI was written on it. I didn't know what it was, but it looked like it was some kind of scanner. I saw a shelf in the wall filled with medical tools and medicine. It was probably in case somebody fell ill or got injured here. It wouldn't be possible to move anyone outside, so they would have to be treated here.
そうだね。きっともう出られないよ。
I was getting used to surprises, but the voice startled me. I didn't know who was talking, but somebody sure was.
みんな助けに来てくれたの？
It sounded like Coco, but I didn't know who she was talking to. I couldn't tell where they were.
でもきっと無理だよ。もうどこにも出られないんだ。
What was she saying? I wondered if something had happened to Coco. I carefully inched toward the rear of the room. I noticed a squarish hole cut out of the floor. I peered down inside. Inside there was a small elevator stopped. It appeared that there was another room directly below the infirmary. That voice was coming from there. I pushed the button. When the lift came, I jumped in. It descended slowly and silently. I arrived below. I noticed that the hatch there was slightly ajar.
嘘。だって
Oh.
だって
I eased closer and opened the hatch. Who are you talking to? Coco jumped as if she had been stung. She was sitting on the bed. Nothing looked out of the ordinary.
あ、タケピョン。
Huh. Takepion?
そう、タケピョン。
Huh.
ぴょんぴょんタケピョンタケピョンぴょん。
Safe place, Pokemon.
はあ、よくわかったね。
I know the Nineko song 17, but it's not Pion Pion, it's Pokemon, right?
そうそう。でも違うよ。
Huh.
ココ、
Coco pointed to herself as she said her name.
タケピョン。
Then she pointed at me.
でもってピピ3歳。
A puppy face peeked out from under the bed.
よろしくね。
Oh, nice to meet you too. But haven't we already introduced ourselves? I returned upstairs with Coco. So you're calling me Takepion, is that it? Alright, I got it. So, who were you talking with, Coco?
うにゅ？
Wasn't someone just in that room?
ううん、いないよ。ピピとちょっと遊んでたんだ。ぴょんぴょんタケピョンタケピョンぴょん。
Whatever. I didn't think Coco would lie to me. There wasn't anyone else around. Infirmary situation normal. Sweet. Okay. Visitor elevator. I continued to the next corner in the corridor and hung a left. I went in the far door, which was open. Huh? Where am I? I had been aiming for the elevator, but wound up somewhere else. The sign said Qual. I had no clue what that meant. Reading the explanation, I learned that this was a gondola in the shape of a jellyfish. I wasn't particularly in the mood for a ride. I checked to see that there was no damage to the floors or walls and left. The elevator is next to the jellyfish gondola. Oh. Tsugumi was standing there silently. She was in front of the closed elevator doors with a stern look on her face. So this is where you were. It looked like Tsugumi had noticed me, but she didn't reply. Her eyes stayed fixed on the door. This elevator doesn't go to the surface. I was reading a nearby sign. It says that to go to the floating island, so no, we should use the elevator in the center of the floor. Hey, Tsugumi, just standing there isn't going to make the elevator
そん
come.
なこと分かってる。
Tsugumi finally answered me.
さっきこの目で見たから。
Saw what?
エレベーター。
As soon as she said that, she placed her hand on the closed elevator doors and started prying them apart. The door was stopped half open. I thought it might be broken. Tsugumi looked inside.
ほら、リフトは3階に降りたまま。
Scared, I peeked in. Oh, that's the one we rode down in.
私たちが脱出した時のまま、あそこにあるの。
A little box in the abyss. The elevator was about 20 yards down. I thought that the floors were very far apart, but I didn't realize actually how far. Whoa. Tsugumi suddenly gave a little push on my shoulder from behind. Don't push. What do you think would happen if I fell from here?
落ちたら死ぬでしょうね。確実に。
Tsugumi said it without a trace of emotion. Jeez, why do you want to go and try? It scared me.
あなたの臆病なだけよ。
Huh? Oh, you meanie. Tsugumi pulled on the doors, putting them back in their original positions. Just to be sure, I tapped on the elevator button a couple of times. There was no response. The lamp didn't light up. It doesn't look like it's getting any power.
ええ。それにエレベーターのシャフトも折れ曲がってる。通電してもまともに動かすのは無理でしょうね。そうよ。このエレベーターは使えない。
After that, Tsugumi went quiet again. Silence was the rule for a while. Tsugumi rarely talked. She only said the minimum necessary. I thought that maybe she was trying to be careful of me for some reason. I wondered what it could be. I wanted to know. Hey, why don't you tell me what happened?
あなたには関係ない。
That might have been true, but still, it's got nothing to do with me. It's got something to do with me. Hey, you know something I don't.
何かって何？
Like about this accident. Like maybe something. Something to do with the reason you're all quiet.
事故？これは事故じゃなくて事件よ。
What makes you say that?
へえ、驚かないんだ。
Tsugumi gave me a strange look.
あなたも何かおかしいって感づいてるよね。
Well, maybe, I guess. Like everything is just too neat. We can't communicate with the outside, and our escape routes are all closed, but we've got electricity and the air conditioning still works. It's almost like someone trapped us here on purpose.
ふん。見かけによらずまともなことも考えられるのね。
Tsugumi's expression loosened into a slight smile. It was a provocative smile. What do you mean by that?
そのまんまの意味よ。あなた、頭悪そうだから。
What? This chick. I'd love to tell her what I really think of her. That thought ran through my mind. But I thought that could really make me look still as stupid as I resisted the urge. Tsugumi's expression returned to normal.
きっとあなたは出られない。いえ、あなただけじゃなく、他の4人も全員、みんな同じよ。
Huh? Well, what about you then, Tsugumi?
私は、そうね。 ここで死んでもいいかな。それも悪くないかも。
Sugumi looked upward. The ceiling was covered with artificial materials. It felt oppressive. She laughed again. Then she left, disappearing down the corridor, and I was alone. Jellyfish gondola qual situation normal. Elevator out of order. More voice. Warehouse. There was a room with no sign indicating what it was for. It caught my curiosity and I decided to have a look. It appeared it was a warehouse of some kind. There were rows of boxes made of reinforced plastic all piled up. There was a push cart and boxes too big to carry, and some long and narrow that a person could just hold. There were all kinds of marks, symbols, and letters on the boxes, and I couldn't make sense of them. There were a bunch of round carbon capsules and drum-like-looking objects. I wondered what was inside them. I figured I didn't really need to know. There was a hissing noise coming from somewhere. Looking for the sound led me to an air conditioner that was in bad shape but still working. On the room ceiling was a crane complete with guide rails. On one container was still suspended from above. It looked like it had been abandoned in the middle of work. No one had any time to clean it. Everyone had fled at once. Hey, is there anybody here? I called out once, but nobody answered. There's no reason anybody would be here. There was no reply. Warehouse situation normal. Now. I took my PDA from my pocket and looked at the time. Oh no. We were only 2 minutes late, but still we were late. I jogged toward the security office. Coco and PP were close behind me. We went in through the sliding door. Okay, can I see one more scene? You was standing like a guard in the narrow entranceway. Yeah, the kid was next to her.
Yeah, 僕の方がちょっと早く着いたね。
Sorry, my bad. I was late.
くらない団体行動は時間厳守が基本なんだからね。分かってるの？
Don't get so mad. It's only 2 minutes, give or take.
あのね、その2分のおかげでやばくなることだってあるんだから。ここも遅刻しちゃった。あ、ここ道に迷ったりしなかった。
Well, you're allowed to be late, Coco. You're cute.
大丈夫。まっすぐ来られたよ。
I get yelled at for being late. She's okay though. You're sure treating her a lot different than me.
まあまあ、無事に皆さん揃ったんですからいいじゃありませんか。
Sora looked up from the LeMU terminal and smiled. She walked toward us. So everybody's here. What about Sugumi?
ここにいるわよ。
Sugumi was leaning against the lockers on the far side of the room.
何か調べがついたのなら話を聞きたいんだけど。どうなの？
あ、はい。それではお伝えします。まずは確認事項から。
Sora gave us a lecture about the structure of LeMU.
レミューは水面下に3つの層を持っています。エルストボーデン、ツバイトシュトック、ドリットシュトック。各フロアの間隔は17メートルです。フロアを1つ降りれば17メートル深くなります。したがって3階、ドリットシュトックは水深51メートルの位置に沈んでいることになります。
Yep, same as before.
ドリットの外は約5気圧の水圧プラス大気圧1気圧で合計約6気圧の圧力がかかっています。仮にドリットから突然海中に出てしまった場合、肺が6分の1に押しつぶされるか、または肺溶石の6分の5の海水が肺に流れ込んで、おそらく数分以内に絶命するでしょう。
I've got a question.
どうぞ。
I've heard that skin divers can dive to depths about 30 meters. Could someone just tough out the water? Yeah. Pressure on way up.
アクアラングをつけてそれなりの手順を踏めば、おそらく35メートルぐらいなら
I just saw.
潜れるでしょう。
Yeah.
しかしその場合、
I did see all of this the first time.
高圧のガスを持つ素潜りの場合は、
Yeah, this is not new. Skip.
それ横高さ15階建てのビルの屋上まで泳いで登るのと同じことです。
Satisfied with the explanation, unsatisfied with the explanation. satisfied with the explanation. Swimming a 15-story building, that was insanity. Even from Zlight's dock at a depth of 34 meters, that would be about 10 stories. Just climbing that would be a bear. And besides, how it wouldn't get outside of LeMU in the first place. Yeah, you're right, that's something that your guts alone couldn't get you through. I nodded.
海中を闇雲に進もうとするのは自殺行為だと言いたいのね。
そうです。皆さん、もう一つ申し上げにくいのですが、お知らせがあります。レミューと外部をつなぐ通信系統について、先ほどから調査を継続、回復を試みていましたが、すべてのケーブル通信、電波通信、ネットワーク接続の機能は物理的断線や施設の浸水、故障によって使用不能。これらの回復の見込みは今後もありません。音波通信機の使用も艦外の送信機の破損によって不可能となっています。したがって SOS を発信することはできません。報告終わります。
2 hours had passed. There was no sign of help. If there were people up on the floating island, at least they could do was send someone to check on us. I was trying to be upbeat about things, but with the first floor flooded and the partitions shut, no one was going to be coming through here. There. Yeah. And coming through the ocean, that seemed even more impossible. The floating of LeMU had disrupted the flow of the currents around it. It would be hard for a diver or a small submersible to get anywhere near it. Awesome. And I am now Takeshi. Wonder what I can do here with a new character in my control. Different story. And also, instead of Sarah this time, it's actually Coco. So there's a different girl for this part. Interesting. Bye!